we've got chaos. SEC championship game. Bama downs Georgia 27-24. Welcome into the voice of college football. Appreciate you stopping by. Let's dig into it as the Tide wins its 11th SEC championship during the championship game era that started with their first two championships in 1992 and 93. Florida is next with 7. But of course, it's been Georgia's recent dominance. They had a 29-game winning streak going into this game. The last time they lost was to Bama and Bryce Young 2 years ago in the SEC championship game. Georgia rebounded from that, of course, to win the national championship that season. Will they have that opportunity again? It appeared early as though they were ready to play and gain the conference title and easy entry into the national championship playoff with a 13-0 record. Couple big stops, 3 and outs against Bama. Georgia had that beautiful first drive, 8 plays for 83 yards. They were on top 7-0. And Malachi Starks, he came to play. He had some tremendous plays in this game, had a big pass breakup that forced the 3 and out as well. But the Tide finally got things going with a touchdown drive, showed much better defense. So after that opening drive touchdown by the Bulldogs, Bama held them on the next 6 drives to 2 field goals, 3 punts, and 1 fumble. Bama led it 10-7 after that 10-play, 93-yard drive. Georgia missed a field goal. Will Reichert in all this, keep in mind that he became the all-time scoring leader in NCAA football ever. That's what happens when you kick a ton of extra points, I guess. The two teams went back and forth. Warren Brinson had a big sack. He's been playing well. Kirby Smart, though, near the end of the first half, trying to get the football back, thinking he would get it back and playing the percentages. Not a mistake on his part by any stretch. But on 3rd and 21, he takes the timeout because he's going to get the football back in the punt. But Bama completes that 17-yard play, and then they go for it on 4th and 4. And Isaiah Bond made that tremendous catch, or did he? They didn't review the play, did they? Isaiah Bond made that diving catch, and that was looked at for the entire halftime period on CBS. They came back, they looked at it some more with their replay and review expert. I don't know. What do you think on that one? Leave your comments down below because that turned out to be a huge play because Bama scored the touchdown when Jermaine Burton made the tremendous move in the end zone on Everett to make it 17-7. Decisive play there. Also possibly decisive in this game, I hate to say it, injuries. Brock Bowers was not Brock Bowers, not dominant. Remember Brock Bowers 2 years ago? That's when he really emerged as the best player, at least tight end in college football, possibly the best player. There's an excellent argument there, but this was the stretch drive of 2021 2 years ago when he emerged to be a monster, had 10 catches against Alabama to win the SEC championship or play against Bama in the SEC championship and then move on to a national championship 2 years ago. But 5 catches, 53 yards, didn't make those major impact kind of plays, didn't get loose downfield. Also, Ladd McConkey just consistently just limping off the field, coming back, making some catches, 3 catches for 38 yards. So they made some plays, but not impact big plays like we're used to seeing out of those two champions. Bama blew up a 3rd and 1 early in the second half. This was key. The interior line just blew up the play. Daijun Edwards went wide with it, but Kool-Aid McKinstry was supporting from his cornerback position. Georgia gets the football back. Arian Smith, 51 yards, and they kick the field goal to make it 17-10. Kool-Aid McKinstry not playing well because of injury and in and out of the game. I don't know that he ever came back at one point. Dallas Turner, he got shaken up on the same play as Kool-Aid McKinstry. He left the football game. Then things really blew up at this point. So we still have a 17-10 game in the third quarter, and Georgia tried that end-around play in which it appeared as though that Dylan Bell was expecting a handoff. Carson Beck pitched it to him and was way behind, just a misconnection. Timing on the play messed up. Fumble! Trezon Marshall, he recovers at the Georgia 11, but the Tide, they hung on right there. that could have blown up in their face. It could have been a decisive portion of the football game, but Jermaine Burton almost caught a touchdown, but Jalen Milroe's throw was a little bit behind him. Javon Bullard did a nice job to break that up. So Bama gets the field goal to make it 20-10. And then Georgia got back in the football game by flipping field position. They had two excellent punts that dropped Bama deep, and they flipped the field, got a 35-yard touchdown drive because that's all they needed once they flipped the field after they had a 28-yard punt return to get within 20-17 at that point. Then Bama responded, and this was really what won the game for Bama because Georgia gets within 20-17. Then Jalen Milroe does his thing. Key passes, only hit on 13 of 23 for 192, but flawless with no INTs, 2 touchdown passes. They got just enough in the ground game considering Jace McClellan, their leading rusher, out for Bama, where Roydell Williams carries 16 times for 64 yards, and Bama scores that 75-yard touchdown drive to make it 27-17. And so even though Georgia comes back with another touchdown and converts the fourth down, 8 plays, 75 yards to make it 27-24, they had 2:52 left, did Georgia and Georgia's defense. And it's been talked about all season that this is a really good, athletic Georgia defense, arguably the best defense in the country. But the last 2 years, there was no argument. Georgia had the best defense in the country. Now it's more top 5 to 10, and maybe the best, but not the best on that last drive. Jalen Milroe around left end. Then they had another first down. They ran the clock out. So it was a really good football game, but Bama was the decided better team, at least on this night, as Jalen Milroe picks up the 30-yarder. Then they get the other first down. Georgia unable to get off the field to give their offense a chance, even though they had 3 minutes left. Carson Beck, 21 of 29 for 243 on the game. All right, it comes down to this. Comparison time. Bama, Georgia, and also Texas. But when we look at Bama versus Texas, and this has been the one that's been sized up in recent weeks, Bama's best wins: Georgia 12-1, Ole Miss 10-2, LSU 9-3, Tennessee 8-4, Texas A&M 7-5, Kentucky 7-5. Those are the winning teams that Alabama defeated. Texas with wins over Bama 12-1, 9-4 Oklahoma State today by 28 points, Kansas State 8-4. That was a nail biter in overtime. They beat Kansas, an 8-4 football team, and Iowa State 7-5. Both teams had ugly wins. Auburn, Arkansas, South Florida for Bama, Houston, Kansas State we mentioned, although they're a good team, and also TCU, a 5-7 team that Texas barely beat 29-26. So a lot of trip-ups in there, or potential trip-ups that they navigated, but these teams have not been consistently impressive start to finish. So what's it come down to me? Bama's got the better resume. But you can't ignore head-to-head. When you've got ties at 12-1, conference championships, and Texas did not let up in this conference championship. They pulled through, and Bama has a recent struggle. This wasn't months ago. Recent struggle at Auburn where they needed a miracle to win the game. So if you're just comparing Bama, Texas, you go head-to-head. And my final on this argument, because I know it's waged back and forth, and I see both sides, and I understand, and I can appreciate both sides. There are legitimate arguments to both sides, but think of it this way. If we had a national championship game, and one team beat another team, who's the national champion? It's the team that won. We don't come off the field after the national championship and say, well, the team that lost, they really had a better resume, and really, I think they outplayed them, or if they played again, they would win. So that team that won the national championship, they're really not the national champion. No, we give it to head-to-head winner if the records and the accomplishments are the same. 12-1, 12-1, conference champion, conference champion. We could put Georgia into the mix as well, but they did not win a conference championship. We'll see what happens tonight with Florida State and with Michigan. Should be interesting, but there's going to be decisions to be made regardless at this point for the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Your thoughts down below. I want to hear what you have to say. Texas, Bama, Georgia, who gets in, who does not? Right here at the Voice of College Football.